Hi, my name is Leo, and today I'm going to do an analysis of a viral video called Aikido Master in MMA, Part 1 and 2, where a supposed Aikido practitioner is fighting in an amateur MMA fight against two different fighters. Before I begin, there are a couple of disclaimers I need to make. I wouldn't normally do such a video, but respecting a request from one of my subscribers, I decided to take up the challenge. It's important to note that despite doing Aikido for 13 years, I haven't participated in an organized MMA style match, nor am I a competitive fighter. Personally, I do not see Aikido meant to be a practice meant for competitions, and I feel that it has a different purpose. But nevertheless, I wanted to share a few thoughts to give some understanding of what was most likely happening in the strategy of the Aikido practitioner. I did some Wing Chun and BJJ, but I'll share only a few ideas as a young Aikido instructor that I have in connection with a few sparring matches I had quite a while ago with my friends and some Aikido practice related thoughts. Second disclaimer, the original video does not belong to me, so if you would like to see the original, follow the link below and support the original channel if you like this kind of video. Last disclaimer, Aikido, as many different martial arts, depends strongly on the style and instructor that you are learning it from. One fighter cannot be taken as an absolute example, but only as a reference for analyzing at best. With the disclaimer said, let us begin. Now we have to realize that traditional Aikido is not developed for modern competitions. Most styles don't put a lot of emphasis on strikes, as you will see in this video too, and it mainly emphasizes locks and throws from grabs and punches, since it derives from traditional jiu-jitsu based on dealing with armored samurai opponents on a battlefield where punches and strikes weren't effective. In this video, the Aikido practitioner is wearing white gi pants. As you see, he's very relaxed, which is an often emphasis in Aikido, and also waiting for a strike, what is a common practice in Aikido too, which brings us to my first point. Most Aikido techniques could be called receptive, or in other words, defensive, meaning that we receive a strike or attack and then try to use that energy, which is not necessarily well suited for a competitive match, but rather a street situation, since many strikes, especially in the beginning of a competitive fight, are feints meant to try out the distance and the opponent. Yet again, as you see in the video, the Aikido practitioner, as soon as he sees a strike, he jumps on the strike, most likely going for a technique. When that doesn't work, he seems to be receptive again, waiting for the next attack, trying to block, but then a punch to the head leaves him disoriented and searching for space to recover. From here on, the disorientation is visible, and then from my perspective, he seems to let go of his first initial strategy and just waltz into attack randomly, without a specific strategy, which in turn becomes defensive and eventually panic, most likely because of a lack of clarity of his actions, in a somewhat disorientation, and eventually is defeated. In the second video, we jump a couple of months ahead. We see the same Aikido practitioner against a different fighter. He still maintains the relaxed stance, yet this time after the first fight, he seems to change his strategy and becomes more initiative, being the first one to go for striking and stepping in. He still seems receptive to strikes, yet probably with the experience of the last fight, this time he doesn't wait for the attack, but rather steps in to try to grab his opponent, most likely again looking for a chance to apply an Aikido technique. He seems to be more focused this time, expecting more strikes, and again, as soon as he sees a leg coming at him, he catches it as a supposed opportunity to go for a throwing pinning technique. They both go down on the ground, and the Aikido practitioner goes for a choke, which doesn't really seem very effective, most likely due to the lack of experience in neck chokes, which is also rarely a part of Aikido curriculum. As his opponent loses the neck choke, the Aikido person loses his balance and falls down. He does seem to try to keep his distance using his legs, but he doesn't seem comfortable on the ground either, since groundwork is not a part of a traditional Aikido either. His opponent uses the chance and goes for ground and pound, as the Aikido practitioner seems to lose his composure and looks for a way out of it. Finally, he grabs his opponent's arm, which is again an understandable approach for an Aikido person, either hoping to use a traditional technique or by now actually simply being defensive. Both of the fighters seem a bit lost in the situation and eventually depart to a greater distance. The Aikido practitioner seems to still hold his ground, showing a difference between his first fight, and he again seems to go for the same strategy as in the beginning of the fight, being initiative and most likely going for shorter distance and potential grab. As that doesn't work, he seems to switch again to being receptive and trying to find a chance as he defends. With that not giving results, he seems to bounce back and forth between two strategies, but then after a punch to the head, he again becomes disoriented and his moves start to begin to seem random. Finally, another blow to the head finishes the fight. The referee still gives a chance for a ground and pound, but it's already obvious the fight is over. Aikido today is not a very popular martial art between competitive fighters, but I feel it's important to understand that it's actually not developed for that purpose. I do understand some people trying to go into competitions to prove Aikido works, yet being designed for a different purpose, it should be either recreated or simply practiced for what it is. The founder himself discouraged his students from competing and was very clear that Aikido for him was a self-development tool. It does work under different circumstances, as in an unpredicted fight, and it also depends on who and how the person is practicing. But Aikido shouldn't be judged by a single fight on YouTube under unknown conditions, as it should not be pushed into a box that it doesn't belong to. While MMA fighters train all the time preparing for their fights and emulating them constantly, Aikido practitioners develop different skills not really meant for the same purpose. Thus, when being pushed into these conditions, cannot really live up to them and truthfully shouldn't. If you saw my previous videos, you know that I don't promote Aikido as the ultimate combat martial art, yet I see it as a great tool for self-development, which also works as self-defense. I did my best to analyze this fight to give some perspective on what the practitioner attempted, but not to justify it. If someone wants to make Aikido into a competitive sport, they should probably just change the name of it. Yet if you want to practice Aikido, it's important to understand its limits and to respect its purpose. For those who want to compete, should go to competitive martial arts, yet for those wanting to practice Aikido, should do so.